Hello everyone and welcome to this beginner yoga class with Yoga for Everybody. My name is Claudia and I'll be taking you through today's practice. So today we will be focusing on the total body stretch for beginners. So I will be explaining all the postures in a little bit more detail than I normally would in some more of the advanced classes. Let me know what you think of this class in comments. Please connect with me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram and check out some more of my classes on YouTube. And let's begin. So today we're going to begin in a child's pose. So come to your mat into a kneeling position. Sit back on your heels and just separate your knees wide enough for your chest to fit through. And just walk your fingertips forwards until your chest is down on your thighs and your forehead down on the floor. And just take a few deep breaths here. So focus your attention on how you're feeling today, whether you've got any aches and pains, whether you're like me and had a workout the other day and now your legs are sore. We're going to stretch out all the sore muscles today. So take an inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. One more time, inhale through the nose and exhale. So a child's pose is a nice resting pose, but there's a lot going on here. We're stretching our hips already, all of our back, the shoulders. If you wanted to, you can roll onto the outer edges of your arms, so your palms are facing one another, and that should help open up the shoulders a little bit more. Take another inhale here. And then on an exhale, keep your sit bones where they are and just move your hands to the right side. Feel the stretch in the left side of the body. One deep breath here. And then take your hands to the opposite side and feel the stretch in the left side. Move your hands back to center. Keep your right hand on the floor and then just thread your left arm underneath your right. So we're just doing a quick shoulder stretch here. So try and lower your left shoulder onto the floor in your left ear. Feel the stretch at the back of your left shoulder here. Nice deep breath. And then come back to center and switch sides. So plant your left hand on the floor, thread your right arm underneath and lower your right shoulder down onto the floor and your right ear if you can. Deep breathing here. And then come back to center. And then walk your fingertips back towards your knees. Bring your knees together. So we're going to sit in this kneeling position for a few breaths. So you can either sit with your toes released, or to give your feet a bit of a stretch, see if you can tuck your toes and then sit back onto your heels. So the feet is one area that we don't often stretch in the yoga session, but it's quite important to do that. We do spend quite a lot of time on our feet, so it's quite an intense stretch. So see how long you can stay in this position for. You can always release, but at least try it for a couple more breaths. From here, bring your hands in prayer in front of you and then interlace your fingers. And then take an inhale here. On an exhale, stretch your arms forwards and turn your palms so they're facing away from you. And then really round the back here, chin to chest, so feel the stretch in the shoulder blades. And then on an inhale, lift your arms forward so your hands are still interlacing and stretch up. Palms are facing away from you, so really stretch up towards the sky. Deep inhale, and then on an exhale, release your arms down by your sides. And I'm starting to really feel this in my toes, but I'm going to try and keep sitting in this posture for another breath or two. We're going to do the same one more time, so bring your hands in prayer in front of you. And if interlacing your fingers for any reason is not comfortable, you can always have your hands in prayer and do the same stretches, but with your hands in prayer position. Otherwise, come with me, interlace your hands together, take an inhale. On an exhale, stretch your arms forwards, round the back, chin to chest. Feel the stretch in the shoulder blades. And then take an inhale, lift your arms up, stretch. And exhale, release your arms by your sides. One last time. Hands together, interlace your fingers if you can. Inhale, on an exhale, stretch your arms forwards, palms away from you, round the back, chin to chest. Inhale, lift your arms up, stretch, and exhale, hands by your sides. Brilliant. And then release your toes if they were tucked under. Ooh, that was a bit challenging. Come into a tabletop position, so shoulders over your wrists, hips over your knees, back and nice and long. Tuck your belly in so you're engaging your core muscles here. On an inhale, we're going to arch the spine, lift your chest and look forwards. Try not to crunch your neck to look up, just keep your neck nice and long. And on an exhale, you can release the toes round the back and look down, chin to chest. And you can even move your hips back a little bit, really feel the stretch in the shoulders here and the upper back. Inhale, tuck your toes, arch the spine, lift your chest, look forwards. Drop your belly down towards the floor. Exhale, release the toes round the back and look down. So this stretch is called cat-cow if you're new to yoga. One more time, inhale round the back, lift your chest, look forwards. And exhale round the spine and look down. Releasing the toes, feel the stretch in the upper back. And then come into a neutral position. Stretch your left leg back, keep your left toes on the floor, and then really press back with your left heel. Feel the stretch at the back of your left leg here. On an inhale, lift your right arm forward, stretch through the fingertips. Exhale, circle it all the way to the back. Inhale, lift your arm forwards. And exhale, circle it all the way to the back. One more time, forwards. And exhale, all the way to the back. And then inhale, lift your right arm forwards. And then lower it down onto the floor. And we'll switch sides. So bring your right leg back. Right toes on the floor. And then really stretch back through your right heel here. So feel the stretch at the back of your right leg. Inhale, lift your left arm forwards. Exhale, circle it all the way around. Shoulder mobility here. Inhale forwards. Exhale all the way to the back of the room. One more time, inhale forwards. Exhale all the way to the back. And then inhale, lift it forward, stretch through the fingertips, and exhale, lower it back down onto the floor. Come back into a tabletop position. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Tuck your toes under and then lift your hips up into our first downward facing dog. So keeping the knees nice and bent. First of all, focus on stretching through your hands into your upper back. Lift the tailbone up towards the sky. And then start stretching one heel down towards the floor. Stretching the other heel, alternating, pedaling your feet here. If your hamstrings are nice and open already, you can of course lower your heels down onto the floor straight away. I did an intense exercise class on Wednesday, which means that my calf muscles are on fire today, so I'm going to take it nice and easy and just pedal my feet. You don't have to stay stationary in down dog, you can just move around, sway side to side, just see how you're feeling today. On your next inhale, look between your hands. We're going to step our feet to the front of the mat, so you can do a few little steps, or if you can, take 2 big steps to the front of your mat. Keep your feet hip width apart, bend your knees and then lower your chest over your thighs. Fingertips to the floor, just round your spine, release the tension in your neck, your head. So we're just trying to release any tension you might have in your back. You can also grab hold of your elbows here and maybe sway side to side. Nice and gentle, we're still warming up. And then on an inhale, place your hands back on the floor, fingertips to the floor. Bend your knees quite generously and then roll all the way up to standing, 1 vertebra at a time. So your neck and your head are the last ones to come up. So standing nice and tall at the front of your mat, feet are hip width apart. Inhale, lift your hands up towards the sky, stretch through the fingertips. And then exhale, lower your right hand down your right leg and bring your left arm over your left ear, taking a side bend to the right. Take 1 deep inhale here. And then come back to center, bring your right arm up, inhale. Exhale, go the opposite way, so left hand down your left leg, right arm over your right ear, taking a side bend to the left this time. Stretching the right side of the body. 1 more time, inhale, lift your left arm up, stretch through the fingertips. On an exhale, fold forwards over your legs, keep your back nice and long, keep a bend in the knees if your hamstrings are tight, and fold forwards, but this time try and keep your back nice and long, so instead of rounding, we're trying to lengthen forwards. And again, we're just going to take a couple of breaths in this forward fold. So if you want to, you can start straightening your legs. If your knees are bent, you can alternate again, straightening one leg and then the other, whatever feels good for your hamstrings today. Like I said, mine are very tight today and it varies depending on what I've been doing. So don't worry if on some days you can touch your toes and on others you can't. Just happens, the flexibility varies. On an inhale, place your hands on your shins and then peel your chest off your thighs and look forwards, making a flat back. You can have your legs straight or you can continue having a bend in your knees. Neck is nice and long. Exhale, fold forwards, place your fingertips to the floor and we're just going to take a step back with the left leg. So nice big step back. And lower your left knee down onto the floor. Keep your right knee over your right ankle. And just feel the stretch here in the left hip flexor. So this might be a deep enough stretch for you already. You can deepen the stretch by releasing the toes and rolling onto the area just above the kneecap. So not only will that deepen the stretch, it will also protect your knee. If this is totally uncomfortable for the knee because you're on a hard surface, you can always roll your mat, once or twice, so it's a bit more comfortable for the knee. So let's just take a few deep breaths here, feeling the opening in the left hip flexor. And then keep your left hand down on the floor and just stretch your right arm up towards the ceiling or the sky, taking a twist here. You can tuck your toes for this if you find it more comfortable. One more inhale, and then on an exhale, lower your hand back down onto the floor. We're going to try and come up into a low lunge. So you can place your hands on your right knee first. See how that feels. And then when you're ready, see if you can stretch both hands up towards the sky. And again, keep your toes tucked or release, because that will deepen the stretch. Let's take a couple of breaths here. You can always lower your hands onto your hips if you need to, or back onto the floor. Just work at your own level. I'm gazing up towards my fingertips. If this is not comfortable for your neck, just keep gazing forwards. One more inhale, and then exhale, lower your hands down onto the mat. Take an inhale. On an exhale, we're going to try and straighten the right leg. So you might want to tuck your left toes for this. And then see if you can start straightening the right leg. And it might just straighten to this level, which is absolutely fine. You can move your fingertips back. If you've got a couple of blocks, you can put your hands on the blocks. If you haven't got blocks, maybe books or something for support. And then see if you can take an inhale, lengthen your spine. On an exhale, maybe you can straighten it a little bit more. So depending on how open your hamstrings are, maybe you can flex your right toes towards you. See how that feels. Maybe you can sit back onto your left heel. And wherever you are, let's just inhale, lengthen forwards. And exhale, fold forwards. So again, just work at your own level. Feel the stretch at the back of the leg. Always back out of it if it's starting to feel too uncomfortable, and especially if it's starting to feel painful, just come back into the previous variation. Okay, wherever you are, let's just take another breath. And then exhale, rebend the right leg. And we're just going to step the right leg back into a tabletop position. Tuck your toes under and then lift your hips back up into a downward facing dog. And again, don't feel like you have to be stationary in down dog. Explore your body, see how you feel by lowering the heels down. Maybe sway side to side like I'm doing. I quite like doing that. Maybe if you want to, you can just lower your heels down and stay there without moving. If that feels comfortable, that's absolutely fine. On your next inhale, look between your hands one more time. Step your feet to your hands. Keep them hip width apart again. Bend your knees and lower your chest over your thighs, but try and keep your back nice and long. On an inhale, hands on your shins, make a flat back and look forwards. Exhale, fold forwards over the legs, maybe keep them straight, but keep a bend in the knees by all means if you need to. Inhale, try and keep your back nice and long, come all the way up to standing, lift your hands up, stretch, and then exhale, bring your hands and pray in front of your chest just for a breath. Inhale, let's lift our hands up towards the sky, stretch. And exhale, keeping the back nice and long, fold forwards. On an inhale, place your hands on your shins, make a flat back and look forwards. Be mindful of crunching the neck here, so neck is nice and long. Exhale, fold forwards, fingertips to the floor, bend your knees as much as you need to, and we're going to take a big step back with our right leg this time. So right knee down onto the floor, left knee is over your left ankle, right toes can be tucked or you can release them. Again, play around. It might feel a little bit different on this side We're not symmetrical, so that's absolutely fine. My left side is always tighter than my right. So I'm going to release my right toes because I feel a better stretch there. So just experiment, see how that feels for you today. Take a few deep breaths. And then place your right hand flat onto the mat. On an inhale, lift your left arm up towards the sky, taking a twist. And this really opens your right hip flexors here, but you should also feel it in your left hip, hopefully, as well as the upper back. I'm gazing towards the left fingertips. Feel free to gaze forwards if that's not comfortable for the neck. Inhale. Exhale, lower your fingertips down back to the floor. We're going to come up into a low lunge. So you can bring your hands on your left knee first. See how that feels. If this is uncomfortable, if you feel like you need to have your fingertips down, by all means go back to the previous version. Otherwise, just have a breath here, and then when you're ready, if you want to stretch your arms upwards. Well, you can stretch them forwards and then upwards. So let's have another couple of deep breaths here, feeling the opening in the right hip flexor. And again, if you need to double up on the mat to help protect your right knee, by all means you can roll up your mat and do that. Inhale, exhale, lower your fingertips down onto the floor. So we're going to try and straighten the left leg this time. So take an inhale and nice and gently start straightening that left leg. Maybe move your left finger. So when you're ready, start straightening the left leg. Maybe move your hands back a little bit. You might just get to here and think this is enough for me today, which is absolutely fine. You might be able to straighten your left leg all the way. Maybe you can flex your left toes towards your body. Wherever you are, take an inhale, see if you can lengthen your spine, and exhale, fold a little bit deeper. Maybe you can sit back all the way to your right heel. And wherever you are, just take nice deep breaths, feel the stretch. It should be feeling challenging but not painful. So if it's feeling painful, please back out and go into the previous variation. You're not doing your body any favors if you're putting it through painful stretches. One more inhale. Exhale, rebend the left knee. Place your hands flat on the mat and take that left leg back into a tabletop position. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips up, downward facing dog. Nice deep breaths and down dog. Just check in with your position, make sure your fingers and your toes are pointing forwards, your hip width apart with your feet, shoulder width apart with your hands. Make sure your shoulders are not pressing against your ears. So externally rotate them away from your ears. And try and relax your shoulders. I know it's a hard posture for the shoulders, especially if you're just starting out with yoga, but try and relax. And by all means, if at any point you've had enough of the down dog, just drop down onto your knees into a child's pose. It's always a good pose to come back to if you need a rest. So let's drop onto our hands and knees one more time. And from here, you're just going to step your right leg forwards on the outside of your right hand. So both of your hands are now on the inside of your right foot. So we're going to do some further stretches for the hips. So what I'd like you to pay attention to is make sure your right knee is not going over your right toes. It's either in line with your right ankle or maybe just behind. Try again and roll onto the area just above your left kneecap. See how you're feeling here. You can again move side to side, just explore the stretch. You should hopefully already feel a good stretch in your left hip flexor once again, as well as your right hip. From here, you can release your left toes if you want a deeper stretch. It might be a little bit more comfortable if you point your right toes out maybe 45 degrees or so. Stay here, we're going to do another couple of breaths. If you want to feel this stretch even deeper, you can maybe lower onto your elbows. But again, if this is too challenging at any point, please come back up and do the previous variation of the pose. And again, don't feel like you have to hold here and not move. First of all, make sure you're still breathing. If you're not breathing, you've definitely gone too far in the stretch, so back out. And you can do little sways side to side. Just feel the stretch. Explore how it feels in your body. And then when you're ready, if you are on your elbows, come back up onto your hands. Tuck your left toes and we're going to step back with the right leg, so back into tabletop position and switch sides. So you're going to step your left foot forwards on the outside of your left hand. So both of your hands are now on the inside of your left foot. And again, just experiment here, move around a little bit, see where the stretch feels best. Again, just make sure your left knee is not going over your toes. It's either in line with your ankle, so over your ankle, or maybe just behind. I'm going to release the right toes because I feel the stretch better that way. Maybe point your toes out a little bit. This will open up the hip a little bit more. And we're going to take 2 or 3 more breaths in this pose. So again, stay here, or maybe you want to experiment by lowering down onto your elbows. I had to think for a moment what those body parts were called. Elbows. Okay, and again, maybe little sways side to side, whatever feels comfortable. My left hip is feeling a lot tighter than the right today. So I'm just going to move a little bit. And don't forget to breathe. Most important thing in yoga, breathing. Okay, and when you're ready, come back up onto your hands if you went there already. Tuck your right toes, step your left foot back into tabletop position. Tuck your toes under. Let's do one more down dog. So you might find, this is down dog number 3, I think, that you can stretch a little bit further. Maybe your heels are coming a bit closer to the mat, which is great, but absolutely don't worry if they're not. It comes with practice. And there is nothing wrong with keeping a bend in the knees. What I really want you to focus, especially when you're just starting out, is lifting the hips up and stretching your back. And the heels will come with practice once your hamstrings start opening up. Okay, we're going to try and lift the right leg up. So it doesn't have to be far, just explore, take it easy and see how you get on. Try and keep that leg straight if you can. Take an inhale. On an exhale, bend the right knee and see if you can bring your right knee into your chest. Now it's quite a challenging one, so you're going to roll forwards into a plank pose and see if you can bring that knee as close to your nose as possible. And then see if you can step it through in between your hands. So the chances are your foot will be somewhere here in the middle, again if you're just starting out. So you can always use your hands and just help it through in between the hands. Brilliant. So we're going to explore the crescent lunge now. So your left knee is going to stay off the floor this time. Right knee is over your right ankle. You're on your fingertips for the time being. Again, press back with the left heel. Feel the stretch at the front of your left hip as well as the back of your leg. Take an inhale and then see if you can come up and place your hands on your right knee. So again, just make sure your right knee is not going over your right toes. And then when you're ready, see if you can lift your hands up towards the sky. And you can adjust the distance between your legs, sit a little bit deeper in your lunge if that feels good. Just make sure, like I said, your right knee is not going over the right toes. So it should be roughly over your right ankle. Maybe gaze up. One deep breath. And then on an exhale, lower your fingertips down onto the floor. We're going to do that same twist we did with the knee down, but this time with your knee off the mat. So left hand flat on the mat. Inhale, spin your right arm up towards the sky. Maybe gaze towards your right fingertips. One more inhale. And then exhale, lower it back down. So we're going to try and step the right leg back into a plank position. So you can drop your left knee down onto the floor if you're struggling, and then step the right leg back. Or try and keep your left knee off and see if you can bring your right knee into your chest and then step it back into a plank and just press back into down dog. From here, just drop your knees down, bring your toes to touch, sit back on your heels. Let's just take a quick break in a child's pose. And then come back onto your hands and knees into a tabletop position. Tuck your toes under and then lift your hips up into down dog. And we're going to do the same stretches on the other leg. So when you're ready, see if you can lift your left leg up. Try and keep your leg nice and straight. Inhale. On an exhale, bend your left knee and see if you can bring your knee into your chest. So you're coming into a plank, round the spine, knee to chest, and then see if you can step it through in between your hands. And again, the chances are it will probably end somewhere in the middle of your mat, so use your left hand to just guide it forwards. Good stuff. So come up onto your fingertips and just experiment here again. So your left knee is over your left ankle. Really press back with your right heel. Feel the opening at the back of the leg. Your right hip flexors here. When you're ready, let's find your balance. Come up, place your hands on your left knee. It's nice and sunny now. Pouring it down earlier. And then when you've got the balance, lift both hands up towards the sky. And again, maybe sit deeper in your lunge. Press back through the heel. See what's comfortable for you. Make sure the left knee is not going over your left toes. Inhale. And then exhale, lower your hands back down onto the floor. We're going to step back into plank and down dog. So if you need to drop your right knee onto the floor, do. There's nothing wrong with that. We're just building strength here. If you think you've got the strength, see if you can bring your left knee into your chest. Step it back into plank and then down dog. Lovely. Bring your knees down onto the floor and then cross your feet and sit back onto your heels and then just stretch your legs out in front of you. So we're going to keep the knees bent for the moment. See if you can lower your heels on the floor so you are about hip width apart, maybe slightly less wide. Place your hands underneath your knees for a moment and then take an inhale, really lengthen your spine so your back is nice and straight. And on an exhale, lower your chest over your thighs, keeping your back nice and long. So what we don't want is for your back to round. We're trying to elongate the spine, stretch out the lower back. So take a breath here and then see if you can maybe grab hold of your big toes, maybe the outer edges of your feet. Maybe you can just wrap your arms around your ankles. Take an inhale and then start walking your heels away from you, but keeping that length in your back. So try not to round the spine and see how far you can go. It doesn't matter if your legs don't straighten all the way. We're trying to keep the back long. We're trying to feel the stretch at the back of the legs, but we're also trying not to hurt ourselves. So take it nice and slow, take it nice and easy. Flexibility comes with time, so don't rush. Nice deep breathing here. We're going to stay in this pose for a little bit longer, so what you might find is after a couple more breaths, you might be able to move your heels back a little bit more. But again, just focus on lengthening the spine, lengthening your forehead towards your toes rather than towards your knees, if that makes sense. And try and keep your feet flexed. That will also help stretch out the back of the legs. So wherever you are, we're going to take a couple more breaths. And just really breathe into the stretch. See how it feels. Don't rush it, be patient. And on your next inhale, come back up. So keep your left leg stretched flat on the floor and just bring your right knee into your chest. Oh, the sun's shining right into my eyes. It's nice, but I also can't see. So sit here with your back nice and long, interlace your hands just over your right knee. Keep your left toes flexed, nice active pose. Take an inhale. On an exhale, keep your left hand on your right knee and then move your right hand behind you. So we're just taking a twist to the right. So make sure your left leg's not just there doing nothing. Keep it nice and active. Toes are flexing towards you. Take another deep breath. If you want to deepen the stretch a little bit more, maybe lift your left arm up. And then on an exhale, hook your left elbow over the right knee and just help your body twist to the right a little bit deeper. But again, just be mindful you're not going too far. One more deep inhale here. And then exhale, release, come back to center. Place your right foot over your left knee, so the area just above your knee, sorry. So don't place it on the kneecap. We want to protect the knee. So right foot is flexed, right toes are flexed, left foot's flexed. You can use your right hand to just gently press on the right knee and sit here for a few breaths if you feel like this is a deep enough stretch for your right hip flexor here. If you wanted to deepen the stretch a little bit more, you can start bending your left knee and bring your left foot closer to your body. So the closer your left foot comes to your body, the more of a stretch you should feel in your right hip. So again, just take your time, don't rush, don't have to be stationary, you can sway side to side if you need to. Flexing your feet just protects your knees, so just pay attention to that. And with each inhalation, see if you can lengthen your spine, and with each exhalation, maybe just move your heel a little bit closer to your body. But don't rush. You know, if you need to stay in the previous variation today, that's absolutely fine. Work at your own level, there is no competition here. Nice deep breath. I like to close my eyes and concentrate my attention on the area that I'm trying to stretch. Inhale, and on an exhale, try and release the tension in that area. So wherever you are, one deep breath, and then on an exhale, straighten your left leg, straighten your right leg, give your legs a little bit of a shake. And we'll do the same stretches on the other leg. So right leg's nice and long, toes are flexing towards you, bend your left knee and then bring your left knee towards your chest. And then just wrap your hands over your left knee, sorry. So the distance between your foot and your right leg's about a couple of inches, so it doesn't have to be too far. Just, yes, sort of 2-3 inches. And again, make sure your right leg stays nice and active. Take an inhale, lengthen the spine. On an exhale, right hand stays on your left knee. Left hand's going back, we're twisting to the left this time. So on an inhale, see if you can lengthen your spine. Exhale, maybe twist a little bit deeper. If you want to, you can take the variation where you inhale and stretch your right arm up, and then exhale, hook your right elbow over your left knee and take a deeper twist to the left. Just pay attention to what's your right leg doing. It should be nice and active, toes flexing towards you. Gazing to the back of the room. One more inhale. And then exhale, release. Come back to center. So we're going to place the left foot over the area just above your right kneecap. And you'll see my left knee is really lifting here because my left hip's very tight today, especially after horse riding yesterday. It's always a struggle. Muscles shorten. So left toes are flexing, right toes are flexing. Left hand on your left knee, and maybe you just gently press on that left knee and stay here for a little bit. So a few breaths, which is what I'm going to do. But you've seen the variation on the other leg. So if you want to start bending your right knee, you can do. So I'm just going to do it in just a moment. So take an inhale if you want to, and then start bending the right knee and bring your right foot as close to your body as feels comfortable for you today. And again, we're not symmetrical, or not many of us are, so it really doesn't matter if you could go deeper on one side and not the other. Don't panic, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It will come with time. And I find that depending on what I've been doing during the day or during the week, it really affects my flexibility. So it's just how it is. You just have to accept it, work on it, do what's right for you, do what feels best for you. The most important thing is to listen to your body, I guess. So just another breath here. Again, feel the stretch. You don't have to stay in a still position. You can just move around a little bit. And then exhale, release. Let's release the legs, straighten the legs, give your legs a bit of a shake. One last pose before we finish in Shavasana. Bend your knees and then bring the soles of your feet together and try and bring your feet as close to your body as you can. Place your hands on either on your ankles, or maybe you can interlace your hands and pop them over your toes. Knees are opening out to the sides. Inhale, back is nice and long. So you could just stay here for a few breaths, feeling the stretch, hopefully in the inner thighs. If you want to, you can take an inhale and on an exhale, start folding forwards, nice and easy. You can maybe use your elbows to open up your knees out to the sides even more. So if you're already quite flexible and you can go all the way down and put your forehead onto the floor, by all means you can do. I feel like this is probably the furthest I can go today. I feel a good stretch in the inner thighs here as well as my lower back, so I'm just going to stay here. And you might feel like with, again, an exhalation, you might deepen your stretch. You might want to go a little bit deeper, which is great. As long as there's no pain, that's absolutely fine. So wherever you are, we'll just take a couple more breaths. And when you're ready, come all the way up. And then bring your knees together, feet flat on the floor. We're going to lower down onto our backs. So with control, lower all the way down onto the floor for our final relaxation pose, Shavasana. So straighten your legs and then relax your feet, let your feet fall out. You can maybe separate your legs as wide as your mat if you want to. Just find a comfortable position here. You can have your palms facing up if that's comfortable for you. Make sure you're not tensing any part of the body, so just work your way up from your toes towards the crown of your head and make sure everything's nice and relaxed. If you're finding that you're tensing a particular part of your body, take a breath through the nose, focus your attention on that part, and on an exhale, see if you can release the tension. Please stay in this Shavasana pose for a few more minutes if you've got the time. And when you're ready, you can roll onto your right side and come back into a seated position. And I want to thank you for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed the class. And thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this class. Please let me know in comments what you thought, and please check out some more of my classes on YouTube. Click the subscribe button and have a beautiful rest of your day.